Prince Harry has always shown his feelings openly. He has always been known for being honest and real. But in recent months, people close to him say his emotional state has changed completely from someone who was holding things together to someone who is utterly broken. Sources say he is not sleeping. He is pacing nervously. He is watching everything online like a man waiting for something terrible to arrive. And one night, according to a legal advisor who has worked closely with the Sussex team, Harry finally broke down completely. The advisor claims Harry admitted that Meghan never carried their children. That the official story told to the entire world was only the version Meghan wanted told, and that he agreed to it because he believed it was necessary to protect their family. But instead of protecting it, that secret has become the heaviest burden he has ever carried in his life. A burden so heavy that even palace insiders now say Harry looks like he is falling apart from the inside out. This is the moment the carefully built image started to crack. And once that crack appeared, the truth began finding its way out. And this is where the real story begins. Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Report Daily for more exclusive royal updates. This brings us to the woman who now stands at the absolute center of everything. Her name is being kept private for legal reasons. She is known only as DL, and she is not staying quiet anymore. DL says she was more than a surrogate. She claims she is the biological mother of both Archie and Lilibet. She says she has the DNA proof. She has the legal papers. She has the emails and the hospital files. And she says she holds the truth that Meghan and Harry worked very hard to hide. For years, DL lived quietly under a strict legal agreement, told never to speak, never to show herself publicly, never to exist in any public space connected to this story. She was promised silence would be respected. She was promised safety. She was promised payment. But according to her, she received none of those things. No final payment, no recognition. Not even a basic health check after giving birth. Just silence, and then being completely and deliberately erased from the story. And DL says she will not be erased again. To understand how DL became part of this shocking story, we have to go back to late 2018. That was when she was contacted by a middleman connected to a high-end fertility clinic, one regularly used by extremely wealthy families who required total secrecy. The message was simple. A high-profile couple needed help. The arrangement would be completely private. The payment would be generous. And her identity would never be publicly connected to the children under any circumstances. She signed the legal agreements. She entered the clinic system. The medical paperwork was handled with extreme caution. Every single step was taken quietly. So quietly that DL says even the clinic staff were given only limited information about who the intended parents actually were. She carried the pregnancy. She followed every medical instruction carefully. She delivered safely. And then she was pushed completely out of the story. This is where things begin to get very dark. Because what DL says happened next doesn't just challenge the Sussex public story. It threatens to rewrite royal history entirely. When Archie was born in May 2019, the world saw happy photographs, glowing headlines, and a royal couple telling everyone they simply wanted privacy. But DL says what the world saw was not the truth. According to her, Archie was already 2 weeks old when Harry and Meghan stepped out to present him to the world. 2 weeks? That means the famous moment when reporters were told Meghan had just gone into labor was part of a carefully planned announcement designed to hide the real timeline entirely. DL claimed she had already delivered him quietly in Colorado. No royal photographers. No busy hospital scene. Just a private birth followed by complete silence. Meanwhile, across the ocean, the palace released statements that confused many observers. Meghan was in labor. Then, minutes later, Archie had already arrived. It didn't make sense at the time, but no one questioned it publicly because the world assumed the Sussexes simply wanted a different and more private birth experience. But DL says that wasn't privacy. That was a planned announcement, a carefully constructed way to present Meghan as a new mother without ever showing a single real hospital moment. What makes this even more difficult to dismiss is how Meghan physically appeared in the days that followed, perfectly rested. No visible signs of a difficult labor, standing confidently in heels just 2 days after supposedly giving birth. At the time, people said she had simply handled pregnancy and labor beautifully. But now, according to DL's account, the reason Meghan looked so perfect was straightforward. She had not been through labor at all. And the introduction of Archie to the world was not a celebration. It was a performance. Stay tuned to Royal Report Daily for more breaking developments in this story. If DL is telling the truth, then hiding a pregnancy isn't just about photographs or public appearances. It's about paperwork. And according to her, the paperwork is where everything went truly dark. DL says her name does not appear on any medical file that the public would ever be able to see. Not on discharge forms. Not on the birth certificate. Not on a single official document connected to Archie's arrival. She claims she was told directly, no trace of you can remain. Not even a signature. This was done, she says, to keep the royal story completely clean. To make sure that Meghan appeared to have fulfilled the role expected of a royal mother without any visible complications. But even the official documents that do exist raise serious questions. Months after Archie's birth, Meghan's name was suddenly removed from his birth certificate and replaced with her royal title. At the time, Meghan's spokesperson described it as a clerical decision. But now, with DL's claims sitting alongside that documented change, some sources believe the alteration was entirely intentional. A way to redirect legal attention away from details that simply did not match up. And there is more. DL says the fertility clinic, the middleman, and even the payment records were all specifically designed to keep her identity completely invisible. She says she wasn't just cut off emotionally after the birth, she was cut out legally, as if her entire involvement had never happened at all. And yet, behind the scenes, she kept everything. The agreements, the emails, the clinic, receipts. She kept them because her silence was supposed to be respected, because she believed she would be paid fairly, because she trusted the system she had willingly entered. But when all of that was taken from her, when she realized she had been replaced by a story that did not include her and never intended to, she decided she was done hiding. And with that decision, the entire narrative around the royal births began to fall apart. At first glance, this might look like a private dispute between two adults and a broken contract. But that is not what makes this story truly shocking. What makes it shocking is royal law. If Meghan did not give birth to Archie and Lilibet, and if no official surrogacy disclosure was ever made under UK legal requirements, then the children's royal status becomes extremely complicated. Royal succession is not symbolic, it is legal. It requires family line to be traceable, verifiable, and officially documented. A hidden surrogate breaks every part of that chain completely. And according to insiders, the palace is quietly terrified. Here's why. First, the children's titles could be formally challenged. If Meghan was not legally the biological mother, their status changes significantly under succession rules. Second, official documents may no longer match real events, which opens the door to serious accusations of fraud and deliberate deception. Third, Parliament may need to intervene. Members have already begun quietly asking why the births were never independently verified in the standard way. Fourth, international paperwork could be invalidated, particularly Lilibet's U.S. birth registration if it contains incorrect maternal information. This is no longer simply a question of whether Meghan carried the children. This is now a question of whether the monarchy was deliberately misled, whether the public was misled, and whether the entire line of succession was constructed on a carefully built story rather than documented truth. Behind palace walls, advisors are reportedly working deep into the night. Lawyers are examining every piece of the Sussex story carefully and thoroughly, because if DL presents her evidence publicly, it will not just embarrass the royal family, it may require rewriting significant portions of royal history. Make sure to subscribe to Royal Report Daily. We bring you the truth behind the palace walls. As the story grows louder, Meghan Markle grows quieter. Not strategically quiet in the way she has managed silence before, but genuinely missing. No events, no speeches, no polished photo shoots, no surprise podcast appearances, no carefully staged public moments. Not even a simple statement. People who once worked closely with her say Meghan has gone into a kind of self-imposed lockdown. Hollywood contacts whisper that producers who were once enthusiastic about attaching her name to major projects are suddenly backing away politely. Quietly, but firmly. And it isn't hatred driving that withdrawal. It is fear. No serious producer wants to stand beside a potential royal disaster of this scale, King. Charles has just signed a brand new rule that could change everything for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's children. This is history in the making, and you are watching it unfold right here on Royal Report Daily. King Charles just signed off on a rule that would change the future of the royal family forever. The rule itself is simple, but its impact landed like an earthquake. Any child who wants to remain in the royal line of succession must be raised full-time in the United Kingdom. Under direct royal supervision, no exceptions, no shortcuts, no special treatment for anyone. And the moment that rule became known, everyone immediately understood exactly who it affected first. Archie and Lilibet, Harry and Meghan's 2 children, born and raised thousands of miles away in California, instantly fell outside that requirement. They have never taken part in royal traditions. They have never lived within the palace structure. And they have no real connection to the day-to-day reality of royal life in Britain. Inside royal circles, sources whispered that this was never just a routine administrative update. It was a message that the monarchy was moving forward, a message that the next generation, or at least some of it, would be chosen with great care. And for Meghan Markle, this hit deeper than anything else. Because for her, this was never simply about titles. It was about belonging. It was about recognition. It was about making sure her children were seen as part of the story she genuinely believed they were born to inherit. But this rule told her something she never expected to hear stated so plainly. The monarchy decides who belongs, not her. And this was only the beginning. Make sure to subscribe to Royal Report Daily right now and hit that like button to stay updated on this breaking story. Before the dust even settled from the first rule, another shockwave hit. King Charles introduced a second rule, and this one cut even sharper. Only the children of active working royals will remain in the line of succession. In other words, only the children of royals who consistently show up for duty, serve the crown, and actively represent the monarchy would keep their place in line. Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties in 2020. They made a clear and public choice: freedom over royalty. And now, years later, that choice had come all the way back around. Their children no longer fit the new system. Behind palace doors, advisors described it as a structural update, a clean and organized way to slim down the monarchy and protect its long-term future. But in Montecito, sources say it felt like something else entirely: a quiet punishment, a stripping away of the very last thread connecting Meghan's family to the crown, a firm reminder that decisions carry consequences, and a clear warning that the royal family was no longer willing to bend or twist its rules to keep the Sussex branch included. This wasn't personal, the palace insisted. But for Meghan, it was absolutely impossible to see it any other way, because for the second time in just days, a rule had been written that pointed directly at her children, and it was written in permanent ink. Just when it seemed the situation couldn't escalate any further, another move emerged from inside the palace. This one quieter, colder, and far more unsettling than anything before it: a formal clarity review. Normally, these reviews are simple, routine checkups, small teams quietly verifying paperwork or updating records behind closed doors. But this one was different from the very beginning. According to insiders, the people assigned to this review were not just regular office staff or archivists. They were constitutional experts, senior legal advisors, historians, and palace officials who specialize specifically in succession law. That particular combination of people only comes together when something is seriously disputed or when a situation carries genuine long-term consequences for the crown. The review's focus covered everything connected to Harry, Meghan, and their children: birth documentation, medical confirmations, paperwork that should have moved automatically through the system but somehow didn't, timelines surrounding their departure from royal life, eligibility requirements that had never been tested in quite this way before. It wasn't described as a hostile investigation, but it was thorough, detailed, and completely methodical. The kind of careful review that slowly removes anything uncertain and brings into sharp focus anything that doesn't add up. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Royal Report Daily for more exclusive royal investigations. As the monarchy tightened its rules, another powerful force rose quietly behind the scenes: Prince William. For years, he stood in the background, learning from his grandmother, watching his father prepare carefully for the crown, and studying every political storm the monarchy managed to survive. But now, insiders say William has stepped into a far more decisive and active role. He is no longer simply the future king. He is becoming the active protector of the institution itself. Sources close to the palace say William has very little patience for anything that threatens the stability of the royal family or the legacy he is preparing to inherit. And after years of very public drama from Harry and Meghan, the televised interviews, the public accusations, the explosive documentaries, William's tolerance has worn completely thin. He is described by those around him as firm, deeply focused, and absolutely unwilling to bend. According to people familiar with the internal discussions, William is prepared to make genuinely hard choices, including fully supporting the removal of titles, if doing so protects the monarchy's long-term future and stability. One palace advisor put it with brutal directness: William will cut off a limb to save the body, and he does not see this as an act of revenge. He sees it as his responsibility as the future king. Where Harry stepped away from duty, William stepped forward. Where Meghan challenged the system publicly, William reinforced it quietly. And where Charles began the process of reshaping the monarchy, William is now preparing to complete that work. The message behind closed doors is completely clear. The crown cannot carry instability into the next generation. Not under William, not under the future king. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily now and hit that like button so you don't miss any updates on this developing story. While William strengthens his position within the institution, Meghan is preparing for something far more confrontational: a legal battle. Sources say Meghan has already spoken with lawyers in both California and the United Kingdom, determined to examine whether the new succession rule changes violate the historic Act of Settlement of 1701, an act that has shaped royal inheritance for over 300 years. To Meghan, the timing of these new rules feels targeted, deeply personal, and deliberately calculated, as though someone is systematically trying to erase her children from the royal picture entirely. She believes the palace is changing the rules specifically because of her and Harry's departure in 2020. The monarchy insists the changes were long overdue, regardless. But either way, Meghan is ready to fight. Legal advisors have warned her clearly that challenging the monarchy is never a clean or simple process. A lawsuit doesn't stay private, it doesn't remain tidy, and it forces absolutely everyone involved to produce real evidence, real sworn statements, real documents, real verifiable proof. And that is precisely where the danger for everyone begins. If Meghan pushes forward with legal action, Harry will be forced into the one position he has spent years carefully avoiding: choosing a side, publicly, under intense scrutiny, with no way back. Standing with Meghan means standing directly against his own family in a courtroom. Standing with the palace means permanently breaking the bond he promised he would never abandon. For Meghan, this fight is about recognition and her children's rightful place. For the monarchy, it is entirely about order and precedent. For Harry, it is about being forced to choose between two worlds that can no longer exist together in any form. The battle has not officially begun yet, but the lines are already being drawn with absolute clarity. Make sure you are subscribed to Royal Report Daily and have liked this video to support our exclusive coverage. Now the storm sits directly over the royal family, and the crossroads ahead is simply impossible to ignore. On one side, the monarchy is reshaping itself completely. Rules rewritten, titles redefined, succession realigned. A clarity review, digging carefully into the past with quiet but relentless precision. King Charles is no longer bending. William is not compromising on anything. The palace is closing its ranks. On the other side stands Meghan, determined, furious, and fully prepared to fight for her children's place in a world she believes they were born into. She sees the rule changes as a deliberate act of erasure. She sees the clarity review as an invasion into her family's private life. She sees the distance between London and California growing deeper and wider with every passing week. And standing between these two worlds is Harry, a prince without a true home base anymore. A husband desperately trying to protect his family. A son watching the gates of his past close tighter and tighter around him. Sources say Harry feels the pressure building relentlessly, the choices becoming sharper, the decisions becoming completely unavoidable. Because if Meghan pushes forward with legal action, the monarchy will be forced to respond in ways that expose everything. Documents, sworn testimony, private history. Unspoken moments the royal family has carefully kept hidden for generations. And once that process truly begins, there is absolutely no returning to peace for anyone involved. Hit that subscribe button and like this video right now to stay fully informed with Royal Report Daily. This is the moment before the break. The moment the future of two young children becomes the centerpiece of a full constitutional storm. The moment a deep family conflict transforms into a genuine historic reckoning. The monarchy is preparing to move forward without looking back. Meghan is preparing to fight with everything she has, and Harry is preparing for what may be the hardest and most defining choice of his entire life. But one thing is absolutely certain: whatever comes next will not be quiet. It will not be gentle, and it will reshape the British royal family in ways that will be felt for generations to come. Because this is not the end of the story. This is the spark, the charged and dangerous moment just before the explosion begins. This has been Royal Report Daily, bringing you breaking news from inside the palace walls. Thank you for watching this exclusive report. If you found this story valuable, please hit that like button right now and subscribe to our channel for more breaking royal news and exclusive investigations. Share this video with your friends and family who deserve to know the truth behind the crown. We will continue following this constitutional crisis every step of the way as it develops. Make sure to turn on your notifications so you are always the first to know when we post our next update. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected, right here on Royal Report Daily. We bring you the truth behind the crown.